welcome back to Bicker is Better, the Cars Can Be Blue podcast that we do for our band Cars Can Be Blue, and you, the listener.
Listen.
On this episode, we'll be talking to Wesley Fritz.
Hello, Wes.
Yeah, hello.
Hi. Hello.
Wes is someone who's a colorful character here in Athens, Georgia. Becky and myself have both been in a roommate situation with Wes, and he provided us with many entertaining stories and shenanigans. Jeremy over here, our bass player, has dealt with Wes as a bartender, if not on a more man-to-man level. Let's welcome Wes Fritz to the program.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me over.
Yeah.
I'm surprised y'all want to talk to me.
We're kind of surprised that we want to talk to you, too.
Well, let's get into some of that.
Well, I mean, I could recant some of the stories of living with Wes.
Why don't you remind Wes about them, and then he can recant them.
All right, I will say that for every positive, there might be a negative. I remember Wes helped me when I was at a low point in my life to get a job in a menial food service industry position at a restaurant that's not even in business anymore called Doc Shays. I can't remember if we were roommates first and then I got the job. Regardless, became my roommate, moved in, and 2 weeks later, I'm working at my Doc Shays job, and I get a phone call.
I believe I called you, didn't I?
Yes, you called me at work.
I think I called you to tell you that the kitchen had caught on fire and that the firemen had put it out. By the way, I put that motherfucker out too. I don't know if you knew that.
With your bare hands.
With my bare hand. I had burns all over my hands. I will say that our living situation, the dishes had piled up.
You had taken the dishes out of the sink, right, and put them on the stove?
Probably.
I think you said you were going to do the dishes. And
I think I went into my room to do something.
You were with a girl, I think.
I was probably with a girl.
Whoever
that happened.
So you were like in your room. And
I was in my room, and then all of a sudden, I remember I was like, "Fuck, it's really smoky in here." They said that the pilot light on the stove ignited the plastic. Yeah, I freaked out. And I told the lady friend, I was like, "You need to get out of here." and she was like, and then like she's running she was running out of the door, and she was like, "You need to get out of here too." I was like, "I don't live here." And so I threw everything into the sink and sprayed it down with water, which caused more bellowing of smoke because it burnt down they had to replace the refrigerator to get
Yeah.
I think there was smoke damage all over the walls and ceiling. The refrigerator,
which turned into
melted.
They couldn't even
plastic plates. And
the blinds too had melted on the other side of the room. It was crazy.
It was like,
and then the landlords came in to like clean it up, but there was so much soot. They're like, "We can't clean it. We're gonna have to try to clean it and then repaint everything." They had to repaint like every room.
I remember them coming in, and I remember they said they were like, "Well, we can't do this." And they had to hire some team of people that knew how to deal with smoke damage or whatever. I do remember before they cleaned it, everyone that was at the house was tagging things on the ceiling. I remember that writing, like "fuck you" and all those.
Wash me.
Yeah. I didn't realize how serious it was at the time. I was like, "Oh, I'll just handle this," but like. It could have been really fucking bad. And not only that, this fire could have engulfed where we are sitting right now.
Yeah.
If it hadn't gotten taken care of. That's kind of crazy to think
we should
about.
say that we are now recording this podcast in the upstairs apartment
from where the fire
was.
That's true.
Also, the way it was recounted to me by someone else was that you were passed out drunk and that your girlfriend noticed the smoke and was like, "Wes, wake up, I think your kitchen's on fire."
That's not true. That's not true. I will definitely tell you, I believe we were probably smoking pot in the room, but I was wide awake. That's true. Because I remember like being like, "Wow, it's really smoky in here." And she's like, "Yeah, it is." And I was like, "Holy shit, get out." But
I'm glad we cleared that up.
That does sound plausible that I would be asleep and drunk. How did Wes die? Oh, I fell asleep on fire.
Yeah, 2 weeks into being my roommate, like if it hadn't
really
been, if it hadn't been
I feel like it was like a month and a half.
No, it was like 2 weeks.
No,
it was like 2 weeks.
Wasn't that quick.
2 weeks.
Things don't escalate that quickly.
Double weeks. I couldn't. It's like, and I was kind of like, he seems like all right, maybe he's kind of a screwball or whatever. Like 2 weeks.
Like,
I set your kitchen on fire. I'm sorry.
Future potential roommates of Wes. There's a 2 week mark you got to get through. Then everything's fine.
Hey, let's look at it positive. If I'm living with you and there's a fire, I'll do my best to take care of it.
He'll put it out with his bare hands.
I mean, the good
fire
thing
smash.
was we did get a new fridge and a new stove, and they painted over the fucking ugly ass. I don't know what fucking goddamn art students were living living downstairs and painted like purple and yellow
Oh, yeah,
all over the kitchen.
the
The
kitchen was
headache.
hideous.
Yeah,
I
like so
remember
at
that.
least like it got put back to a nice blank white.
A blank canvas.
Color,
That's
yeah.
what I wanted. I wanted
Yeah.
us to have a
It
blank
actually worked out in
canvas
that
on
way.
me.
The other recurring incident was you and your sleepwalking.
Oh,
although I
Let's
might
not
say
forget that I sleepwalk
sleepwalking
naked.
slash
Yeah.
drunken
I sleep-
stumbling. I
Yes,
guess.
yes. I also.
Oh, because Zach was living at the house
Yeah.
too at one point.
I had a snuggle time with
Yeah,
Zach.
yeah.
It was nothing like.
You
it was
crawled
nothing,
with with our roommate Zach. I don't know if I should use
Zach
his last
Thrower.
name. Or
You
not.
know Zach Thrower?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's a true story. I got wasted one night. What a shock. I came home and of course, obviously, I don't remember or whatever. But I remember waking up and Zach being like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Oh, sorry, bro. Let me. Sorry." And then Zach, I saw him not too long ago, and we talked about that. And then he goes, "There was this other time where you walked in with your pants around your ankles
Yeah.
and you ran into my fan, and then you were like, oh, and then turned around and went the other way." So apparently
You were like thwarted by the fan.
he set up a West defense system. And he's like, "If I put this, maybe this will stop."
Gentle breeze. So talk about the time that like Wes came barreling into your room.
Yeah, okay. This is probably even more so than you burning down my kitchen. I think that this is probably the time that I was like most mad at you. I don't know how the hell you did it, but I had the door to my room shut and locked, and I was in bed, and you just like stumbled out of the bathroom and like with all of your weight tripped and fallen against the door and fell through the door onto the floor. It was, like a crash test dummy, and I woke up screaming. And I just was like, "Get out!" What the fuck? I just remember waking up and screaming at you. I'm sorry.
I don't remember that. I do remember you talking to me about it. Like, "Man, you motherfucker."
I thought it was like some sort of SWAT team, like DEA bust that
I do remember with
battering
that,
the door
I do
down.
remember with that bathroom we had the weird 70s partition thing.
Yeah.
Remember that slid open?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was intoxicated, I always had trouble with that fucking door. I find it amazing that a lock couldn't keep me out from you.
Yeah.
I can just tell you, when I was a kid, I used to sleepwalk all the time. My parents would find me out in the yard, underneath my brother and sister's bed. But mind you, I wasn't drinking at 6 or 7 years old, so I
No.
imagine when you drink, you kind of revert back to like
Regress.
fucking
back to your-
regress completely. So there.
All right.
I also would like to talk about the prank wars, and
Oh,
this
yeah.
kind of started
Well,
downstairs. Also, who was involved with it?
I would say
It was Steve, right, and Charlie.
Steve, Charlie, Jason, maybe James.
Uh-huh.
Those dudes definitely like kind of probably came together.
Huh.
But it started off small, of course, with every prank war. It's like tee hee hee.
Yeah.
And they called me one day. It was like a Sunday afternoon, and I was just kind of hungover, and I'd been drinking out with all of them the night before. And they're like, "Wes, where the fuck are you? You need to come into work." And I was like, "Oh shit, what the fuck?" And I get up there. They weren't even there.
But you got to work. You went.
Of course I did.
Oh,
And I'm just like, "You fucking assholes." So things like kind of went from there. We had like boxes at work, for our time cards, and we would shove certain things into people's time cards or boxes. Like
I heard that they filled up your locker with bread dough, just like in Flowers for Algernon.
I
No,
don't
that
know
didn't
that.
happen.
I don't know that reference, but that did happen. That's true. Yeah, that sucked too because the time card got ruined. I can't honestly remember. Like, it was just stupid shit. It's more like fucking verbal, trying to make me feel crazy is how it kind of
Yeah.
small started, but then it got more fun.
Yeah, because I remember because the first I heard about it was when I think it was Charlie and Steve maybe came over. I remember
might-
Charlie.
They might be able to recount some of this a lot better
Yeah.
than me. So.
But they came over and they decided they were going to switch everything in your room.
Oh, I remember
downstairs.
that.
Yeah.
That was pretty clever. I guess I didn't really retaliate too much either, though. Like, I
Mhm.
tried to, but it seemed kind of futile. I don't know, 5 or 6 dudes against one.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, I don't know. In a weird way, it kind of worked out because I remember they did the fucking room prank. And
Yeah, where they
but-
switched everything from one side of the room to the other
I
side.
remember
like
that.
They, yeah.
I do remember the disco room prank, and they had made a
Mhm.
video, but no one put out the video for like a
Yeah,
year
that's
and
the
a
thing.
half.
It's
Yeah,
like
they
they were
wanted to-
expecting that you were going to do something, and that was going to be like the topper to like but you never actually did anything.
I didn't
for,
retaliate because I mean, like
the
I
prank
like
war
I
was
just-
basically over.
Like I just spoke though. I mean, it was just kind of like
Okay,
like,
can
So
I,
did you
can
did
I
you
say
did
one
you not
thing?
know about
No.
the video until you saw it after they?
I knew about it like
Go
a
ahead.
few years later, and like somebody shared it with me. This
Yeah.
is probably back on fucking
Yeah.
MySpace.
When we put this podcast on the YouTube, I'll try to include the link to the actual
Oh, I hope you can
to
find
the
it.
disco party room prank video, which does still exist. I watched it.
So what that was the people involved in the prank on Wes got a whole bunch of people together in Wes's room, in his actual bedroom, and had an impromptu dance party.
Yep.
And there was a drum set in there too, I think, and
Yeah.
just so just filmed people having a huge fucking party inside Wes's room
It was pretty well done.
while he was at work or something, so he didn't know about it, and then it didn't get posted.
Yeah, because you never
to the
did
internet.
anything.
Now, I had heard you had gone to Charlie's house, knocked on the door, and like Jess answered. You were like, I need to come in, and she's like, why? And you were like, I'm gonna shit on Charlie's bed. Like,
Yeah, that doesn't
like,
make much sense. Why would I escalate it to fucking scat?
I know that's why it's so
I mean,
funny.
you know, I'm not that
Like,
fucking
Prank
unreasonable.
war.
Well, this
I'm gonna
is-
shit in his bed.
This is what I had heard, and then so like Jess was like, no, you can't shit in his bed, and then like you just took some of the furniture on the porch and then like moved it around or something, and then like left.
I do remember retaliated with James. James's like little cabin in the woods.
Uh-huh.
You remember like when he lived behind up on Roof Street.
Yeah.
I remember I put some like weird things on his porch just to fuck with James's head a little.
Yeah.
Because he's a weird dude and he
Yeah.
might read way too much into that.
So,
But
like,
honestly, no, I don't remember honestly suggesting shitting in Charlie's bed.
Oh, okay.
But you know,
anyway, let's move on.
Okay.
So Wes, you've been a long time member of the punk rock musical community. Would you like to kind of give your resume of old bands and basically all that hard living that you did and being a crust punk squatter, hobo, hopper, whatever the kids are
I
calling
don't
it
think
these days?
people hop hobos. I don't think that's
Yeah, they hop on the back of them and they
Yeah.
just
Hobo hopper.
ride them around, from
when I
anyway.
was 16, I left my mom's house.
Under your own free will, or did you get kicked out?
I kind of left. It was kind of like a mutual decision between me and my mom. I just wanted to.
Does that mean you dropped out of high school and all that?
I got my GED when I was
Alright.
16 years old.
Out of the house at 16.
I had friends that lived in warehouses downtown, squats and stuff, and so I just became more accustomed to that lifestyle. It fascinated me. When I was 17, I just picked up. Me and my buddy had a truck with a camper trailer on the back with a bed and etc. so forth, and we just traveled in it. We split. We went all the way out to L.A., then came back on the high roads, and then we split up in Austin, Texas, and I traveled for a few more years after that till I was like 20 or 21, but I always would come back through Atlanta because I had family there and stuff. Went up to D.C., blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of silliness. It was a lot of good times. I remember, I could just tell you something funny.
All right, tell
I always
us a
something
quick story from the
something
road.
that always fucking fascinated me with traveling. You'd meet these fucking kids, and they're everywhere. And like, you're like, hey, how's it going, man? My name's Wes. How's it going, man? My name's Rat Piss.
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm not calling you Rat Piss. I'm sorry. I don't. No.
Did you
know-
actually meet somebody named
Yes.
Raptus?
Oh yeah,
And-
Okay.
and-
I don't doubt it.
Yes, in
Ah.
Hollywood, California, there was a kid named Rat Piss, and I literally told him, I was like, I'm not calling you Rat Piss, dude. And he was like, oh, and of course, I'm sure he got all offended or whatever.
That's
It's
my
who I
street
am.
name.
Yeah.
That's who I am. I'm Rat Piss. Awesome. But
Well, how'd you get
maybe
that
it
name?
was-
Well, there's this one time I drank all this rat piss. You grew up in Atlanta area, basically,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So I mean, rattle off. You're
fuck
kind
the
of. You don't
anti. I will say fuck the Anti-Heroes. That is a band from Atlanta that plagued me in my youth.
have,
All those fucking fans of that band, all the fucking skinheads, and all those fucking assholes that
yeah.
they used to beat the shit out of us when we were
Remember
kids. Like,
in American History X, skinheads in the movie
Talk about
wearing
that.
anti-heroes shirts, and then they got all mad about it.
there was a poster on the wall, and that's what those dudes were
Oh,
just
that's
all
right.
Are they,
freaking
they're
out
from
about.
Atlanta?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Anti-heroes? Yeah. I can't speak about the anti-heroes, but I can speak about their fucking fans. And those kids were fucking assholes. They just thought we were fucking no good and would fight us at every show that we'd go to, man. Go see The Business back in,
Mhm.
God, 98. Brawled out like fist fights. And for some reason, no one got arrested. No one
just-
got
just
beaten
what you-
too bad, but we definitely fought the shit out of skinheads. Growing up in Atlanta in those times, there was like such a huge skinhead like scene. And
How much would that suck if you're a band and like you're not skinhead or racist at all, but like for some reason you have like a huge skinhead following?
I
would
think that
fucking
has-
suck.
Well, that kind of happened a little bit to Joy Division in their early days because they decided to name themselves after this, Nazi pleasure camp, And yeah, I think they were a band that attracted the skinhead following that weren't genuinely, had no fascist connotation. But anyway, that's just first example that popped into my head.
I don't know. That's when I think about those days. I just think about a bunch of angry fucking skinheads.
Well, let's fast forward to when did you actually arrive in Athens? Like as a
2005 or 6.
Oh, so that was like exactly basically when
around
we
the same
showed
time,
up.
yeah.
That's when I got into town.
I remember when I first came to town. I remember like your band was like one of the first flyers I saw, and it was the one with the coat hanger.
Oh,
Do you remember like it had
yeah.
an abortion connotation to it?
Yeah.
And, like
Yeah,
people
That
were.
was,
One of our friends
that was our
made
friend
that.
in Cleveland. Well, he was calling himself Johnny Scum at the time, and then it became Johnny America. And now he has some other like last name. But anyway, yeah, he drew that, and it's on the second album CD. It's the cartoon. So all of you fans out there, that's what he's talking about. That image was used for a flyer. Anyway, so all right, let's. So you got to Athens in like 2005, 2006. Give us a breakdown of all the bands you've played in. And
When I was 14 years old, I started my first punk band. It was called 13 or 14. It was called Disgruntled, and we played like 2 shows. One was out in Gwinnett with some weird, like straight edge band. I remember they got upset that me and my buddies were smoking cigarettes.
oh wow,
Like, y'all need to put that shit out. And we're like in the driveway of some
Hardcore.
suburban house. And we're like, Jesus Christ. I always play stuff on the guitar and by myself or whatever. But I had to start another band that like actually pursued music or whatever. I'd always dick around with friends when I traveled and stuff. But like as far as like establishing a band and trying to do something with it, wasn't until I moved here because I moved here because I heard it was a music town and I could probably find some people to play some crazy punk rock with. So I met Nick Givens and Mike Riley. Oh boy.
oh, you
I
got
remember
some
him.
stories there.
Oh.
I want to hear like good band argument and fight stories.
I can just
with-
tell you
with,
this
like-
about Mike Riley, man. He never wanted to fucking practice. I would try to practice at least 2 to 3 times a week, and every time me and Nick be sitting at my house, and we get a call from Mike Riley, and he'd be like, my stomach's just kind of, I had a really bad day at work, and my stomach's hurting, and we're like, dude, we play in a fucking power violence band. We're like, how long do our practices really need to be? 40 minutes, maybe. And so that ended up not working, and I known Al. When I first moved to town, I was really drunk one night, and Al just volunteered a ride for me. He was just like, you want to ride home? And I ended up talking to him, and we've always talked since then. And then he saw Bird Flu, and then...
Oh, yeah, you did. You should probably name some bands so that people have a reference of like when you say, oh, I was in Bird Flu. Yeah. So
Bird Flu
was with
Bird
Mike
Flu
Riley
is-
and
Nick Givens. But I had a lot more fun writing music with Nick. And so that's why when Mike Riley went off the deep end, he broke up with his girlfriend of like 2.5 years and just fucked off and got wasted. So me and Nick wanted to continue playing music, and we met Al. Nick was moving to California, and so we started Backtalk, and we did like 1 recording. We played a few shows, and Nick moved to San Francisco. I really enjoyed playing with Al. So me and Al were like, wow, we should maybe keep playing or try to figure out something new. And we met John Lucas, the man from Savannah, and we started Cop Dope. And I really enjoyed playing in Cop Dope. We recorded after 6 months of playing together. We probably played for like a year and a half, close to 2 years. I really wish we recorded the later stuff because it just got more honed and more solid, and Al started singing on all the tracks, because when I first recorded, I did all the lyrics, and Al would just be like, I don't really like your lyrics. I'm like, I know how to fix that problem. You write some shit. And then he was like, oh, well, yeah, you're right. And I was like, yeah. And he wrote great
You don't like
stuff.
songs about killing cops? What? What's the problem?
Hey, Cop Dope had, Backtalk had the song about killing cops.
Bird talk.
Bird Cop Dope Talk.
Cop flu.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how we always end
It's
up
always
using.
2
We were
words.
gonna call Cop Dope Hurricane Asshole. And then Chris Deason came up with that name, and we were like, that is fucking genius.
Is that like your nickname for your sleepwalking problem?
Here comes Hurricane Asshole.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Anyway, are you doing a band now? I don't think you are.
No,
No,
I'm
not really.
I have some musical equipment to play with.
Yeah.
I've been playing with
You've got your solo acoustic emo songs.
I fucking hate you that I shared that shit with you.
He really does.
I fucking hate. I should have never, ever should have opened my heart to you with my music. You son of a bitch. I will say
Maybe next time.
I've jammed with a few friends, but as far as like, we've mostly just been covering like new wave British heavy metal songs, and
Oh,
Or trying to.
That's another thing. Maybe enough about your music, and yeah, I will say that you have been astutely researching a lot of obscure, like 70s proto doom and stoner metal, whatever you want to call it, stuff. So maybe just rattle off some bands that you've been listening to.
You turned me on to Medusa. I was really impressed with that. That opening song for that record's just beautiful. But Trapeze, that's 1972. They have an album called Medusa. Oddly enough, that's how I discovered it by listening to Medusa.
See, I know that they reissued it for Record Store Day, like Dust with the the future Marky Ramone on the.
I owe the original LP to that
on the drum kit.
Heart Attack, the one with dwarfs swinging an axe on it. That's just a great.
But anyway,
record.
Dust is really good if you're into like Sabbath and stuff like that. Then similar territory, good car chase music.
It is good car chase music. I'm surprised that hasn't been used yet. I'm listening to Night Sun.
Is that S-U-N?
Yes, S-U-N. There are a lot of organs, a lot of just...
Ooh.
It's very, very Zeppelin-ish. I mean, that's what happens when you listen to those early bands, because you have, like, prerequisite dudes that set the tone, and then there's not too many people that stand far away from that, because they're like, oh, I really like these two bands, let's try to put them together. But then there's some gems in there where you're just like, what the fuck were these guys doing? Like,
I kind of feel that way about Flower Traveling Band.
Have you ever heard Necronomicon? That's some of the craziest,
No,
like,
I have not.
prog. It's insane when you listen to it.
This is what I mean when, like, like for every negative West thing, there's a positive. Like, he's a fount of information when it comes to, like, obscure British heavy metal and, like, German quasi-prog proto-metal stuff.
It's so hard to
You're also a
classify
hard
that
guy
shit,
to
too.
stay mad at. I've found. I don't know what it is
Aw,
about you,
shucks.
but he's gruff but extremely lovable. I don't understand.
Well,
Wes has a lot of charisma that gets him by in life in ways that I don't understand.
My mom calls that street smarts.
Oh, okay.
No.
The other probably principal interest of old Wes Fritz here is his love for VHS horror movies.
Did you bring
Topic.
Pieces?
No, I did
You
not.
did not bring Pieces.
Yeah.
No, I actually sold it. I don't want to talk about that, Jeremy.
Oh,
What?
shit.
Oh, I bought it from somebody, and I did it.
Oh.
I bought it from somebody, and it wasn't the. That's gonna sound so fucking lame.
No, I
It
love
wasn't the. I thought it was a different release, but it was a release by TNZ Video. So
Oh.
I sold it for more than I would have sold it to you for.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
but
that's-
you know what I
Make
mean.
your money.
What do you usually get for them?
It just depends, man.
It
There's,
depends on what you have.
It really does. You could say that like all big boxes are worth a lot, but they're not. It's more like this is the best way I can describe it. It doesn't matter how good the fucking film is. Microwave Massacre on Midnight Video. That movie's fucking terrible. Or Killer Refrigerator. That
Wow.
movie's 45 minutes. But the artwork on the box or whatever, I've
Yeah.
seen that shit go for like
I'm-
70, 80 bucks.
But yeah, it's funny. Like even like certain movies, there'll be different like big boxes of clamshells, but there'll be specific releases that
No, like
We'll
ones
make
that
it, like,
say,
you know,
people collect
80
like
bucks more.
all certain releases of certain things. Like Midnight Videos, like that's a big one. It has a bunch of other the Herschel Lewis films or whatever.
Herschel
Wizard
Lewis.
of Gore.
Yeah.
Love him.
But man,
Good.
those boxes go like I've seen some sell for like $250.
Wow.
But mind you, that's like bidding wars or whatever. Some people sell them straight up, and that's cool too. A lot of people do trades too, and that's really cool if you want to go watch flicks and just carry on the awesomeness of it.
I have a question.
Uh-oh.
I remember watching a movie. I don't think it was horror. It was probably more like 80s action. But it was filmed in Atlanta, and I can't remember.
The Annihilators. I
Yes.
still
The
have
Extermin-
that. I still
Oh,
have
it's
that.
the
I
Annihilator.
couldn't remember the title
The
of it.
Annihilators. Me and Eric watched that together. We decided that the main villain, he ends up like bringing out this really shitty flamethrower, but of course they make it look amazing. He's like a cross between Patrick Swayze and Kurt Russell. So we called him
Wow.
so we called him Russell Swayze the entire movie. But yeah, that movie's
It's pretty good.
great representation of like early '80s Atlanta filmmaking. That and Cannibal Man. You ever seen Cannibal Man?
And it was
seen
ahead
Cannibal
of its
Man.
time because now they film like tons of stuff in Atlanta.
That's true. They
you
said
know?
There was a really fucked up but awesome exploitative movie that was filmed in Athens that actually recently
Oh,
got
yeah,
released
yeah.
on
What is it?
Blu-ray. Poor Pretty Eddie. You
Have
can
you-
actually get on fucking Blu-ray
Did
now.
you ever see Blood Car?
I know. I have
What?
not. I know
Oh, no,
about
I'm
that.
thinking of the car that eats France or something like that.
The Car That Eats Paris.
Yeah, the car
That's
that
a great,
eats
that's a
Paris.
great film, actually. For a 70s car theater, I guess, what you would call
Kind
that.
of Mad Max-ish, right?
Yeah, and then, I guess the guy who did Blood Car did The Signal, and that's on Netflix. That's the one everybody's seen. But Blood Car is is still fucking hilarious. I remember going to the Plaza on Ponce and seeing that. So
Yeah. Port Pretty Eddie was, I think it was mid-late 70s, real crazy exploitation. It's got fucking Lurch from the Addams Family in it.
oh, weird.
But it's like, he's one of the lower actors. Like, it's just,
Do you own it?
I do not. Mark Wellersby has that shit.
He's
Huh.
got the Blu-ray, right?
I actually forgot. I don't know if you remember this, but the other night you're pretty drunk, and I made you sign this piece of paper that you said after the interview I could go into your VHS
No,
collection.
dog.
No, you did. I have the paper, and it says you can take up to 5 films. Thank you for the interview, because I can't afford a deli tray
This
for you.
interview will end in murder.
Maybe when we get a sponsor.
Oh,
Attention,
man.
Jason's Deli.
Yeah.
We need a sponsorship here on the Cars Can Be Blue podcast.
I thought about getting us food, but then like in between everyone talking or during it, you just hear like,
Yeah, you're gonna hear like,
like
munching on salami or
yeah.
you know. Who wants to hear that?
Fucking
Wes is
salami
over there
muncher.
munching the salami.
That sounds like an anti-gay thing. Like you
Tri-
fucking salami muncher.
It sounds like an insult, like I don't know, like where
Okay,
there'd be
like
like a movie where they'd have
anti-Italian.
like a mafia
Yeah.
like character
Munchy
come in
salami.
and be like, "Get out of here, you salami muncher."
Oh, pastrami fingers over here.
But speaking about yeah, I love the more obscure the better. But
What's your favorite?
Yeah, what
Like,
give
what
us
do you- yeah.
some of your like your
Like,
top
Jeez.
five
like
or
ones
whatever.
you
Like,
have that you would not sell.
Oh, okay, that's easy. I have Dawn of the Dead. That's just
yeah, classic. All right.
well, but I have like a huge
Is it like a clamshell?
Of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
it's I think it's the original EMI release. I think it's EMI release.
Uh-oh. You can see the
I-
hamster
honestly-
wheel inside
honestly,
your head.
I really
turning.
I would never sell the Annihilators because that's
Mhm.
Atlanta,
Yeah.
and I would definitely let people borrow it. I'm actually supposed to let Adam Jackson
Adam
borrow it
Jackson,
again. I would have to say Nightmare, which is awesome. If I remember correctly, that film, they got in trouble because when they released the box, Friday the 13th was huge, right? And so was Dawn of the Dead. Like, it was just picking up. So on the original box, I don't have the original box, but they said Tom Savini did the makeup and effects for it, and he
Uh-huh.
had nothing to do with the
Oh
film.
wow.
So that's just
Using,
kind of...
using Tom Savini's good name.
Isn't that
plug
neat, though?
some-
Yeah.
Alright, so
It has
Bish-
an alternative title, which I can't remember right now, but Nightmare is like the harder to find.
It's not Night Train to Terror.
No,
No.
what?
No.
No.
Okay. What's the
Nothing.
movie
From
that?
1981, Nightmare.
Yes. What's the
IMDb?
alternative title?
Let me see. Hold on.
It's got like
Oh,
2.
Becky's researching. What's the movie that has like the
Where did
Bishop
you
of
say?
Battle and all that in it? Is that
Pardon?
the like Emilio Estevez? It's,
Oh, the
is
one
that
with-
Nightmares
No,
Free
that's
Jack?
the one where he's...
Oh, wait, no.
playing
This
the video game and he gets sucked into the video game.
Shit.
Oh, this is also known as Blood Splash.
Yes.
Okay.
Blood. That's another hard box to find, but it's Nightmare and Blood Splash. It's
With
really
the one
fucking
with
violent.
Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
It's like a creep show type thing. It's
Yeah,
3 different
it's-
stories.
yeah.
Nightmares.
Nightmares.
1983.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but not,
1983.
yeah, but not the
Yeah, 1983.
different
Yeah.
from the Nightmare movie you were talking about earlier, which I've never seen.
And
Oddly
it's like a
enough.
creep show type movie. Like
I-
it's got
Yeah,
3
it's
mini
a-
stories in it.
yeah,
It's got the
4-parter.
segments are Terror in Topanga, Bishop of Battle,
Yeah. Good.
and
Good.
I
Good.
think that's it.
That's the one with Emilio.
Why the
Estevez.
fuck haven't I seen that?
I don't know.
Somebody,
And it's
I heard somebody said Free Jack. That's another film that was filmed in Atlanta. Someone
Emilio
brought up Emilio
Estevez and Mick Jagger.
Yeah. Like, get the meat. God, you're creepy. And dude, and my buddy Buster Poindexter's in that film.
Oh yeah, you're a big Buster.
David
fan.
Johansen.
You said Buster Poindexter's the coolest guy ever.
I think he
basically?
might just be. I really,
Buster Poindexter.
really think Buster Poindexter.
He has had a charmed life, I have to
Dude,
say.
I just like the fact that he was, there's David Johansen from New York Dolls,
Yeah.
and the fact that, New York Dolls, they did their thing,
Yeah,
and,
they
then,
kind of,
and then he just
had a good
reinvented
run.
himself. It was just like, you know what? I'm gonna be a fucking loud singer, change my name, dude. When I found out I didn't originally realize that was David Johansen.
Yeah, I didn't
And
know.
when I found that out, I was like, oh, what? Oh my god, this guy's a genius! Holy shit!
So,
And not only that, just what a cool.
kudos
thing.
to you.
How cool would
David
it be?
Johansen.
How cool would it be if you went to a bar downtown for a drink, Buster Poindexter sitting there
Oh
with
my
a
God.
martini. He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" You're like, "Holy shit, sing me a song."
I'd like to sit in between, have Buster Poindexter on one side, and then Buddy Cole on the other side, and just kind of, have a powwow session with those two. Okay. I guess. Okay. Becky's
Move on.
prompting me to move along on our topic list. All right. So,
Running out of tape.
Wes, you held a job as a cab driver
That's
here
true.
in Athens. You were a real-life Travis Bickle, cleaning up the blood and the cum and cleaning up this armpit of Athens. I don't know. Tell us some stories about that, because I mean, you know, it's a college town. I mean, people get wasted and they need cab rides home.
That shit became like so all the time. But
What?
the things that
You've made a motion with your hands.
that was me,
People
like just being like people being drunk and picking it up from downtown. Like that
Uh-huh.
was kind of like all ran together. They're all fucking drunk. They're all
Yeah,
dumb. But picking up the crazies, that was always my favorite.
All right.
Like I remember I picked this lady up down by like the Walmart or whatever off of Epps Bridge, and I took her to Kroger's.
Mhm.
And I just remember like she was just like talking, and like at first I just realized I was like, okay, this lady's not making much sense. And like she's like, you know, I just like riding in cars because I worked at NASA once, and I'm just like, whoa. I'm like the stories aren't matching up, and I'm just like, holy shit. And like, so we pull into Kroger's, and I'm like, all right, lady, it's gonna be $7. And she's like, I got the money somewhere here. And she stands out of the cab, so I think she's gonna leave the cab, so I have to get out of the cab and watch her. And she reaches into this purse, which is just filled with Bible pages and newspapers. I'm like,
Any
not,
money?
Like
in there?
ripped
No,
out
there's-
Bible pages?
Yeah, and like she's just pulling trash out of her purse, and it's just paper, not cash, just newspapers.
Is she
Wadded
trying
up
to give
paper.
it to you for money?
She's like,
here's
I know my money's in here somewhere. I'm like, okay, that's
How long did you have to wait for her to like?
So about 15
sift
minutes
through this?
pass.
15.
About 10, 15 minutes. And like
Jesus.
she's going
You
through
could've
each.
done two
like
more
I'm giving
jobs.
this. I'm trying to be nice. I hadn't had any. Like mind you, this is like about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I hadn't had any other calls, and I was just dealing with it. And so, and then I was like, look, lady, you ain't got the money, blah blah blah. And that's when she freaked out.
No.
She was like, you don't dare accuse me of not having money, you white ass cracker mother.
Oh.
And I was like, ho ho ho. And then I just left the situation. So my first thought was to get away from the cab. So I locked up the doors and walked inside Kroger's, to which she followed me and then starts screaming at me in Kroger's. She's like, this motherfucker accused me of having no money. No, and so this is making people gather. And like, and so she, and like, and mind you, she's spewing racial shit at me, just like, this look at this honky cracker, and like, it's just I'm just like, okay, I'm just trying to buy a pack of cigarettes, you know, and then she proceeded to ask somebody that had gathered around us. She's like, someone give me $7 to pay this honky ass cracker. And I was like, so you don't have any money? And she's like, yeah, motherfucker. The fucking store security had to come.
Oh wow.
And I told them the situation very calmly, and then she, of course, just escalated this shit. I don't know what happened, but I can tell you that she was really upset, and it was so fucking uncomfortable. I was just like, holy shit.
Did you get reported to your superiors?
Oh,
or
she
anything?
called. Of course she called.
Of
Of course.
course.
But they were just like, believe it or not, that kind of shit happens so much when you drive
Wow.
cabs, just fucking dealing with insane,
Oh,
unreasonable
God.
people. They were just, I was like, sorry. They're kind of like, yeah, well, you know. But, yeah, driving, I did like fucking with the students a lot when I was
Oh, yeah.
downtown. Like,
Did you like
people-
play up your
now people would,
unbalanced persona?
well, no, people would,
Where to?
well, get in. Guess where we're going. Take you on a trip to the graveyard. But now people would like they'd flag me down. They'd be like, "How much to go here?" And I'd be like, $10. And they'd be like, "I'll give you $4." And I'd be like, "I can't do it for $4, man." They'd be like, "Fuck you, man! I got a ride the other day for $4." And I'm like, "Go get it." And so this happened all the time. So eventually, I just got. When people would do that to me, they'd be like $4 or $5. I'd be like, "Sorry, buddy," and then I'd pull a little bit away. Then I'd stop the cab. I'd be like, "All right, buddy, get in here." And he'd start running up to the cab. I'd fucking floor it again. and then he'd just be, and I'd stop. And I'd be like, "I'm just fucking with you. You get in here." And then, I can't get enough of this. So that was a joy for
Oh,
me
my.
driving the cab.
That's awesome.
Dude, you worked long hours of that shit.
Oh
so
yeah,
by that
12-hour
time,
shift.
So by that time, you know,
You got
a
crazy
little bit of
eyes.
sleep deprivation sits in, and everything's fucking hilarious.
All right. Well, we
Are we out of time?
almost out of almost out of tape. And I'll reiterate that the Cars Can Be Blue podcast is an analog endeavor on the Tascam Porta Studio 424 Mark II.
It looks really nice.
Yes, recording onto a 120-minute tape, one side of it, with all 4 channels. Yeah.
Okay, it looks like our tape is about to run
I
out.
did.
Thanks for having me, y'all.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank
dog.
you, Wes
All right,
Fritz.
guys.
So just keep tuning
Listening
in.
to the
Yeah,
podcast.
keep cranking these out. There's all sorts of people that